right, welcome back in. Just another football show.
Super Bowl edition fan interview.
It's the last fan preview of the season. Appreciate everyone that's taken the time this whole postseason to get it done. Ryan, your flexibility on getting these interviews done been great. Just appreciate everyone that's helped us out with these.
Yeah, it's been really good off season. Obviously, we had fans lining up. I know that we had fans messaging us, as soon as their teams got in or won their game or were ready to go on to next week.
Or almost lost their game and then did win their game.
It works.
Looking at you, Jay. So we appreciate everybody that's come on and done all this. We got one left to do, and it's the Super Bowl. Talking a little Eagles, talking a little Chiefs. We're going to talk to Eric first. He was first one available, so that's just really how this went down. We'll talk to him, get his feeling on it, and then we'll get Frenchie on the line. He's done this a handful of times with us. Feel good about that, I guess, right?
Yeah, this one is kind of near and dear to us. Obviously, Eric's fandom, good friend of ours, Eric, and then your Chiefs fandom.
Yeah.
It makes it interesting. I've been rooting for the Chiefs the Eagles as long as I've known Eric. So, I got a little biased on this one.
Yeah,
but,
it's fine. Well, we will talk about this game on Friday, get our official picks in, little game flow, things like that. In addition to some other things, we're gonna not just have a short episode on Friday. We'll do some things.
Yeah,
we're gonna have some fun. But I think, buddy, we just call Eric and get him going, get his thoughts. I'm sure he's just a fucking. If he's anything, I know Eric well enough. He's a ball of nerves. I'm getting there too. I'm ready for the Super Bowl to get here. Let's get his thoughts on the game.
Yeah, let's do what the networks never do and cut it short and make it quick.
There you go.
All right, now we are back with Eric, our Eagles fan. He has been flying high with this Eagles team all year. Done this a couple times with us this postseason. Got his team to a Super Bowl a few years back. Looking here at another Super Bowl. Eric, how are you feeling right now?
Anxious and
Anxious.
excited, but yeah, I'm just ready for the week to be over with. This has been like the longest ever.
So you're not enjoying this, right? You can't enjoy when your team's in a Super Bowl.
Well, like what I'm enjoying is like the really dumb reporter questions that are just coming out on these like media days. It's just so bad.
Well, that's what it's all about, right? It's been like that for years, and it's getting worse. I do like asking about Andy Reid's mac and cheese recipe. I've used that mac and cheese recipe, and it works out nicely. But other than that, yeah, it is a slog. It is a terrible, it is a terribly long time to go, and like you said, just ball of anxiety here. We got to go back, talk a little bit about the NFC Championship game. Not actually a lot to take away from it. It was a shellacking front to back, largely because Brock Purdy and then Josh Johnson were out. But how did you feel about that game? Did you take anything positive away from that game, or were you just kind of chalking it up as a victory?
Well, for one, I heard it was not just because of the quarterbacks, but also because we were just being favored by the refs the whole time.
It's true.
But,
happens.
I heard that.
But like in terms of like, I think people just look at the whole quarterbacks going out and just like, oh well, it was a gimme for them. But I'm like, you're still facing the number one defense, put up 31 points for them, and you're just gonna take that away from us just because they were frustrated the whole time, just causing really dumb penalties in my mind. But that's what I liked about it. That we were able to put up those 31 points against a great defense, especially doing it on the ground, which was their strong suit in their defense.
Yeah, I think that's one of the underappreciated parts of what this Eagles team has done all year. Obviously, people want to talk about Jalen Hurts and what he's doing, but Kenneth Gainwell has come on strong in the playoffs. Miles Sanders has had, I think, 3 or 4 touchdowns in the playoffs so far. Boston Scott's even getting on the action on these last couple of games. So running the ball, pounding the ball, being behind that dominant offensive line and doing what the Eagles have done all year, it's just now people are watching and now people are kind of getting clued into, oh, yeah, this is what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Does that, I guess, them being able to pound the ball, them being able to efficiently score on the ground, does that explain a little bit of the lack of production for A.J. Brown? I know that he was frustrated in that game against the Giants, but throughout this playoff, these 2 games, 7 receptions, 50 yards is all he has. How do you feel about the A.J. Brown playoff usage there, and do you think that they're going to be able to get him more involved, I guess, in the Super Bowl?
Well, I'm not like like it's not like an AJ Brown situation. I mean, it's just like if you watch like the last 2 games, there have been like deep passes to AJ Brown, and like Jalen Hurts is just missing those, like just slightly over his head. But I think that they are trying to work him in. But when the running game has been working in these last 2 games, why venture away from that just because one guy wants to catch the ball just a little bit more? So,
and you can
but like he said multiple times, is like he's a wide receiver. Why would he not want to get the ball? So of course he's going to be frustrated. So I get what you're saying.
I get it.
I mean, this team has murdered the last 2 teams they played. He wasn't needed. Jalen Hurts threw for like 120 yards on Sunday,
120
right?
yards, yep.
Like it's not. It just wasn't in the game plan once San Francisco could. I don't know. To me, it's a non-factor. I think he's fine. He's gonna be just fine. Turns out he's a great fucking wide receiver.
And you get a free 30 yards from Devontae Smith when he doesn't even catch the ball.
Turns out.
Yeah, and he put up like he broke like the receiving record for the Eagles just in 1 year by just playing with us. So yeah, I'm not worried about it at all.
Yeah, it's I don't know. I'm just having like a hard time getting too much out of what this Eagles have done in the last 2 games because they've been blowouts. But I know what this Eagles team is. I watch them all year. I know how good they can be. I guess my question going into the Super Bowl is the health status of the offensive line. I know that Landon Dickerson's banged up a little bit, and Lane Johnson's been playing through some pain. Are those guys going to be able to suit up for the biggest game of the year?
I see that, of course, Landon Dickerson. He's been like actually there's been a lot of like more rest. I don't think I forgot exactly what it was. Maybe like an elbow or something.
Yeah, elbow.
But yeah, Lane Johnson, he's definitely going to make it. He's been playing this whole time with his torn groin. I heard he like re-tore it too, so I guess it seems like it's just
so gross.
You gotta give yourself a couple hours off.
Yeah, and like I think that they're both easily going to play. I don't see any issues with that. And from what I've heard, is like Matt is like out of his like boot and stuff, so he should be even like 100, not 100%, but good to go and everything.
Okay, and then is this Eagles team going to beat the Kansas City Chiefs?
We're just gonna go right to it.
I'm not going right to it, but
I don't think so. But
I shouldn't be surprised by that answer.
No, you shouldn't be. This was the team you didn't want to see, right? If I recall correctly, we talked about this multiple times in the regular season.
Yeah, this is the team I definitely didn't want to see because, like, I feel like if it was like the Bengals, we could easily just like destroy their offensive line and like get to Joe Burrow. I wasn't really worried about that. But with like Kansas City, it's just like if Patrick Mahomes rolls out, this island of wide receivers are just gonna get open somehow, and we're gonna start holding their receivers. So that's what I'm mostly worried about. So just as long as we can contain him and not give up 200 yards to Travis Kelce and make Donna Kelsey gets that, and then I'll be happy.
You're not worried about the refs giving the Chiefs 5, 6, 7 downs on some drives?
Shit.
Oh, there's definitely going to be some stuff. And anytime there's going to be a flag, I'm just going to be yelling the whole time. I just know it's them just giving the Chiefs the game.
Absolutely. Patrick Mahomes is the poster boy of the NFL. Tom Brady retired. Patrick Mahomes is the poster boy. They're going to do what they can to get him as many Super Bowls as possible.
Exactly.
Thank you. A lot of talk about the Chiefs and, Patrick Mahomes is scoring all these points. Philadelphia scored the exact same number of points as the Chiefs throughout the regular season. Why do you think the Eagles' offense is not getting the same kind of respect?
Because Patrick Mahomes is on the other team, so he's the poster boy of the NFL. Just like you said, I just like they've always been like the Chiefs have always been like that. Big teams, everyone just always just expects it out of them. They're like they're just a god, but like. With the Eagles, I think it was also kind of expected going into the season with us bringing in like AJ Brown and stuff like that. But I don't know why we're not getting the same respect. Same thing with like our Hassan Reddick. You
guys are favored. Can we calm down with not getting
narrowly favored?
Christ!
I think only because we're considered like the home team.
3 weeks ago, the spread was AFC minus 3.5. All of a sudden,
just saying.
That's fine.
Yeah.
That's fine.
We do see the rare matchup.
I think they're going to be just fine.
Right now,
that wide receiving core is very good.
Right now, Kansas City has the number 1 passing game in the league, and Philly has the number 1 passing defense in the league. I know that when these things have matched up historically, it tends to go the defense's way.
Well, like I said, like I just feel like I honestly don't believe the Chiefs like have like a route tree. I just think they just run and then Patrick Mahomes escaped, and then they're just doing like just their own thing.
It's called street ball. We've talked about this already in this
ball.
episode. Well, we talked about Kyler Murray with street ball earlier in the week. That's the only reason I say it.
It just drives me insane. Like I swear defenses just forget how to learn how to cover once they play Chiefs, and that's just why I hate watching that team.
And then the refs forget to call holding penalties.
Jesus.
Yeah, that too. And they start doing like bring around Rosie.
Yeah.
Didn't prep me for this.
Yeah.
I'm just saying. Clearly, I think I'm biased in this one, but
Turns out.
basically, I've been rooting for the Eagles as long as I've known Eric, and in this situation, I'm rooting for the Eagles again. So, I have this close to the same level of anxiety. Okay, it's
shut up.
Close to.
Shut up.
Close to. I said close to. That's all.
I will not let you disrespect him this way.
Okay, well, maybe not close to the same level of anxiety he has, but plenty of anxiety myself. So this Philadelphia Eagles defensive line, whole defensive squad basically set a record for sacks in a year. Are they going to be able to get after Patrick Mahomes? Obviously, we talked about his escapability. The offensive line has been good, but not great. Better than they have been in the past. Is Philadelphia going to be able to get pressure on Patrick Mahomes?
I think that they should easily be able to. Like it's like I think they'll get pressure on him, but if they're going to be able to get home, that's the part I'm more worried about. I think that we're going to be able to at least get him out of the pocket, but that's why I don't want him to be. I want him to stand in there with his ankle and everything. But like Casey kind of made me feel a little bit better when he told me about like Orlando Brown being kind of
Orlando Brown's a fucking turnstile. Jesus Christ, he's been so bad this year. Just put fucking Hassan Reddick right in front of him. He's gonna go past him every fucking play. This is my fear. That's really my fear.
So bummed. So Josh Luckett could jump too. So I think no matter who you put in front of him, I think he'll be fine.
You ain't lying.
I think that will be how the game goes. Like obviously, defensive line is good. Secondary, literal best in the league at preventing pass yards, and Philly can control the clock by running the ball. Right? Sure. Like I think it does favor Philly nicely, and Vegas line has agreed. But Eric, give me a little bit of an idea of how the game flow goes. This is a Super Bowl. It's going to be a very long, very frustrating game. The halftime is going to be 4 hours long. Pre-game is going to be twice as long. Give me an idea how this game goes and what's the final score.
The final score. I said, I think this one I believe could be like a shootout. I think even though our defense is really good and the defense has been doing pretty well as well, I think it's going to be a shootout, kind of just like the last Super Bowl that we were in. It's just going to be a high-scoring game, and just whoever has the ball last is the one who's going to end up winning it. I don't really want to try to top the last time we were there and how many points we had. So probably 30. 31 to 28, something like that. Chiefs. I'm gonna say that just because
Fair enough.
I think it's better just to go with the Chiefs. That's what I honestly think. I don't think we have a chance against them, but I could be completely wrong.
You're on the plus side of the money. Have you put any money on the Chiefs to win this game? Are you that kind of guy or no? Huh?
I don't ever do. I try not to even just bet on the team at all.
That's fine. I get it. There are some people that think it's just asinine to even consider doing. So that's why I ask.
Yeah. I definitely won't put any money on the Eagles unless I'm doing my first touchdown.
Well, you can get overtime at depending upon where you look at between plus 900 and plus 1,000, somewhere between 9 and 10 to 1. So
I hope.
And I think this is I'm with you, sir, but I think that this is a candidate for it. I do think this is going to be a close one. I don't think it's a blowout for sure.
Teams match up really well.
Yeah, should be a fun one.
Most likely, what's going to end up happening is have the Rams pass the game where it's like 6-3 or something boring like that.
Yeah, Jesus.
That was the year after I think the Eagles won. It was that 13-9 game or whatever. Yeah, terrible.
Yeah, should have been the Chiefs. that Patriots game.
That's right.
Was the beginning of this run the Chiefs are on. All right, Eric, we appreciate you taking a little time, sir. I hope your team loses, if I'm being honest. I know you feel the same way, but appreciate you taking the time, and we had a pretty good conversation on Saturday night about this game. So feel pretty good, and again, appreciate you taking the time, not just today, but the whole postseason, coming on, talking Eagles with us, and we will for sure talk at you another time.
All right, sounds good.
We didn't do it this time.
You didn't say go Birds.
All right, so you guys know what time it is. We got to bring Frenchie on. Going to gush a little and talk a little Chiefs. Back to the Super Bowl. Back on for the third time you've done the Super Bowl preview there, Frenchie. How's it going, sir?
I can't really complain too much when the boys are back in the big game. It is, 5 years I've been going on with you guys, 5 AFC championship appearances, 3 Super Bowls, and a Super Bowl title. Thinking pretty good luck to the Chiefs at this point.
Yeah, I guess I shouldn't speak for the Royal We. I very much enjoy having you on, so let's keep it rolling. All right, so I don't know that we need to do too much talking about the previous game. I do, however, want to get your thoughts on the current status of the team as far as injury goes. Obviously, Pat put on a great effort in that last game. Looked good for most of it. We'd see him limping around a little bit. A bunch of guys went out with injuries. We've got pretty promising updates on most of those guys as this week has gone on. How do you feel about the state of the team currently?
I'm pretty confident in everything. Mahomes' ankle gets 2 more weeks of rest from that AFC Championship game where he, like you mentioned, already looked pretty solid. He didn't have the 100% mobility that he does, but he still made the run and obviously got the personal foul called on the tackle out of bounds and set up the game-winning field goal. So without Mahomes being able to do at least 80% of what Mahomes does with his legs, they probably go to overtime, and we know that that's an up-and-down battle with the Chiefs in the playoffs.
Specifically with the
L'Jarius Sneed's been fully cleared. I think that's a huge benefit. I know McCole Hardman was ruled out, but honestly, I don't think that's that big of a loss when we didn't have him the entire second half of the year, essentially.
Yeah.
So as long as Juju is good to go, I think this team is set up well. I know Kadarius Toney was also hurt, but he's another guy that if he's not able to go, it's not a huge deal. He wasn't a huge factor offensively throughout the season. It would be a nice, another nice pass catcher. But if Justin Watson is good to go from his illness he had 2 weeks ago, they'll be set at wide receiver to have 3 really good wide receivers with Watson, Smith-Schuster, and MVS. And then also factor in Sky Moore, Jody Fortson, stuff like that, Marcus Kemp. And it's been like that same thing for them all year long with next man up. You trade Tyreek Hill, bring in MVS and Juju. And then you have Mecole Hardman get hurt. Okay, now we pick up Kadarius Toney. Sky Moore's got to start making some plays. And it's been that thing for them all year, and I think that people don't realize how deep they are at tight end as well, with Blake Bell and Noah Gray backing up, obviously, the best tight end in NFL history.
Yeah, it's a deep roster. They got plenty of guys to go to, that's for sure. So let's move forward. Look at this upcoming game. How do you feel the matchup here? The Chiefs' offensive line going against this Eagles' defensive line. They have done nothing but wreck backfields, sack quarterbacks, create pressures at a historic rate for them this year. How do you see that matchup going? I personally have a little fear of those guys getting back there, and if Pat's not 100%, maybe that's a path to them coming out victorious.
I know that was a big factor 2 years ago when they played the Buccaneers, and that front four for the Bucs was ridiculous with Vita Vea, Shaq Barrett, JPP, and Ndamukong Suh. And you see kind of another menacing group in front of you with this front, not just front four, but the front 7 as a whole. But at the same time, the Chiefs' offensive line is better than it's been in the last 7 years. With this group, I know Orlando Brown hasn't had the best season compared to past years, but Joe Thuney performed like an All-Pro this year. Creed Humphrey is arguably one of the top 3 centers in the NFL. Trey Smith was a huge pickup for them, and he's looked awesome this year. And Andrew Wiley has filled in nicely at right tackle. So that's a very solid group, as well as having those chip blocks from guys like Noah Gray, Blake Bell, and when they do keep Kelsey in to block. And I think a really underrated thing for the Chiefs is a guy like Jerick McKinnon or Isaiah Pacheco are both really solid pass blockers as running backs.
Yeah, we definitely saw that with Jerick McKinnon throughout the playoffs, and that I think that's why he got the kind of run he did towards the end of the year is because, for being a smaller type guy, he was able to stand in there and put some guys on their butts. We do have CEH also activated. I don't know if he's going to be in the game or not, but he was
TBD.
He was taken off of IR, so he is active and could play in this game if they so want, or if they so desire. But I think Isaiah Pacheco and Jerick McKinnon, Rojo have been fine, or I mean, good to fine in Rojo's case. Do we see CEH coming up and playing? Either of you guys, Frenchie or Casey?
I think he'll take Ronald Jones' spot because Ronald Jones didn't do a whole lot the second half of the season into the playoffs. He just was active for a couple games. But let's be honest, almost all those snaps are going to go to Pacheco and to McKinnon. One thing that could be interesting is if they use him, maybe a little receiver depth, line him up in the slot. We know Clyde is a good receiving back. He's got good speed that he could, do some of those crossing routes or screen setups that they like to run for guys like Mecole Hardman or Kadarius Toney. If neither of them, well, obviously Hardman not able to go, but if Tony's unable to play.
Yeah, I do like your point there. I think I can't imagine that it's a problem in the locker room, right? Like CEH is just full on lost his job, so I hope that's not a problem for them. I can
you gotta go earn it back.
A decision, yeah. But I do like the idea of putting him out there and letting him catch some passes because, as you said, he's very good at that. We've seen him with a couple receiving touchdowns this season in the few games that he did manage to get out there and play. I'd love to see him out there, and I'm with you there with the Ronald Jones thing. I'd rather see CEH as an option out there than Ronald Jones as the option out there, as long as everybody's good with it.
Especially since we know they're not going to carry 4 running backs into the Super Bowl. Having the dual weapon of Clyde being able to go out there, and Ronald Jones, he's was a solid back for several years with the Bucks, but there's a reason that he hasn't seen playing time behind a 7th-round rookie and a former cast-off from the Niners.
Yeah, yep, it's true. So talk to me about this Chiefs secondary. Young, right? We saw them really step up against Cincinnati when L'Jarius Sneed went down with the concussion. All the rookies back there covering, probably the greatest trio of wide receivers in professional football right now. If they're just
Tyler Boyd got hurt,
I understand. But at the time, was. But these guys very much, these guys very much still stepped up. They're going up against some really good wide receivers here. Any concern for you with the Chiefs secondary and how they pair up with this really good couple receivers here for Philly?
Obviously, there's always a little bit of concern because you look at consistency for young guys like that. I think Trent McDuffie is the real deal. I saw a stat that in 6 games that he was out, the Chiefs allowed 4 300-yard passing performances. In the 13 games he's played, there has not been a single 300-yard passer. And I think that having Sneed and McDuffie both active, which we haven't gotten to see a lot this season with kind of nagging injuries for both of them throughout the year, it's really great to have a good young secondary pair with the two of them. And everyone talked smack about Jalen Watson most of this year, but all he's done is make plays. He reminds me a lot of maybe a less talented version, but less big play giving up version of Marcus Peters, because all the dude does is pick off the ball. He had the game-sealing interception against the Jags. He had a pick against Joe Burrow. He had that 100-yard interception return that ended up being the game-winning play against the Chargers. This guy has made huge plays throughout his rookie year, and exciting to know he's under contract for another 3 years, and that even if they were to lose L'Jarius Sneed in the next year or two, they've got other guys stepping up. I really like, Cook got burnt a couple times, but stepped up and made some other plays. Joshua Williams, I think, is another really good young corner. He kind of took Rashad Benton's spot when they cut him loose, and he's settled into that kind of nickel corner or playing in the slot a little bit too. But I'm just really excited about these young guys. That group of rookies that they brought in was just a masterclass by Brett Veach. When you think of, obviously your first-round rookies, Karlaftis and McDuffie, have both been fantastic in the second half of the season. But Sky Moore making the punt return, Cook tipping the pass and Williams intercepting it, Watson picking up the interception as well. This rookie club, and then Pacheco, pass blocking, making a couple nice catches. Obviously, they didn't run the ball super well against Cincinnati, but this was one of the best performances by a full rookie class you'll ever see against the Bengals, and it creates a lot of excitement going into the Super Bowl.
Yeah, there's actually a ton, like young guys all around. So not just the rookies you named who've performed great. Brett Veach absolutely is probably the top, if not like the number 2 executive in the league. I think the top 2 are playing in this game.
Agreed.
But
Howie Roseman, everyone wanted him to be fired a couple years ago.
He's not ideal at drafting, but what he does through the draft, the free agents, it always works out for Howie. But yeah, Eagles fans have a love-hate relationship with Howie Roseman, yet here they are in the Super Bowl. But the young guys that Brett Veach brought in this year, last year too, Bolton, Leo Chanel was this year, right? And then like Willie Gay, all this defense is mostly young with a few key pieces that are like performing very well. Frank Clark, Chris Jones, Carlos Dunlap always has a soft spot in my heart because of Madden, but I really like what this team is doing, and it's not household names, right? There's like Chris Jones, sure, but there's not like household names on this defense, and they're still showing up. They shut down. Pretty effectively shut down the Cincinnati Bengals. Obviously got the win there, and I think the defense has been kind of the key to this year too. While Patrick Mahomes is getting all the credit, and Kelsey and all rightfully so, this defense has showed up and helped out as much as possible too.
Yeah, I've been and this is something they've done the last couple of years under Steve Spagnuolo. That they really struggle at the beginning of the year, but he makes good adjustments at that mid-season around the bye week. And afterwards, they really start to come together. They play well. They make big plays. And they're never going to be, obviously, like the Rams defense last year. The Chiefs defense is never going to win you a bunch of games. But they're going to do enough that Patrick Mahomes doesn't have to do as much to win you games. And that's the reason this team wins 12, 13, 14 games every year, because they don't have a bottom-tier defense. They don't get lucky like the Vikings did this year while having like the 21st ranked defense. The Chiefs may give up a lot of yards and even sometimes do give up a lot of points in games. But if you look the first half versus the second half, those numbers impress a lot. I think they had, a 6-week run this year where they were like the number 3 defense in the league while starting mostly rookies.
Yeah. It's incredible and Spags has done this repeatedly for years. This is kind of the pattern, and no one has really kind of fully sussed it out yet. But that does lead nicely into now you're in the Super Bowl. A lot of young guys, a lot of guys who've never been there before. Even from that last team that was there, you've had a fair bit of turnover. You're playing the Eagles team, number 3 in the league in points scored per game, scored the exact same number of points as the Chiefs did over the course of the year. Super weird. A lot of people talk about the Philly defense, but Philly's offense has been pretty prolific this year as well. Is the Kansas City defense going to be able to step up, shut down Jalen Hurts, the wide receivers, which is what initially got us talking about the defense, and Goddard, and the run game, really, too?
Well, I think the big thing that people don't realize is there's a lot of young guys on the other side as well. Jalen Hurts is a third-year quarterback who's only in his second full year starting. Obviously, he had an amazing year this year and is going to finish second in MVP voting behind Mahomes. And he should, and he arguably probably would have won it if he hadn't missed those last couple games.
Agree.
But, you're looking – he's a third-year player. Devontae Smith is in his second year. A.J. Brown is a veteran now, but he's never had – major postings since they went to the AFC Championship, but that was because of Derrick Henry a couple of years ago. And on the defense, there's not a lot of guys on this Eagles roster that have been to the title game, have won championships. There's not a lot of guys left from that 2017 season outside of guys like Jason Kelsey, Fletcher Cox. But most of their roster's been turned over a little bit. Lane Johnson's obviously still there. But the major skill positions are new faces. Obviously, Hassan Reddick's had an amazing year, but will he shine under the bright lights, or is he going to kind of, feel the pressure at the defensive end spot? We've seen it with Chris Jones. This is a guy that is arguably the second best defensive tackle in the NFL behind arguably the best defensive player in the NFL. And he didn't get his first career sack until the AFC Championship this year in their 5th straight trip to the AFC Championship. He had never had a sack in the postseason.
Wild, and I want to bet on it.
Yeah.
All right, Frenchie, we gotta get you the hell out of here. Why don't you give me a little game flow? Tell me how you think this game goes. Give me a final score. Tell me if I'm going to be drunk with happiness or sorrow on Sunday night.
I think you're going to be drunk with happiness.
Right,
I know
like
that there's a lot of people that think that the Eagles. I've had multiple people say they're going to come in and blow out the Chiefs because of, and I just look at it as like, it's not that the Eagles haven't played anyone. It's that the Eagles haven't played any great quarterbacks.
Yeah,
really
you're stepping on my shtick for the next bit, but yeah, you're absolutely correct. Look at the last 14 quarterbacks they've played. We can run down right now if you'd like. I have a list.
Professional quarterbacks in the NFL.
Sure,
most of them probably.
Sure,
yeah,
and
but so
a
Zach
chunk
Wilson.
of them won't be playing next year.
Yeah,
we just talked about this on Wednesday.
They got to play like Taylor Heineke twice this year. They got to play the Cooper Rush and the former shell of Dak Prescott. And then this postseason, they played Daniel Jones and a left-handed Brock Purdy and Josh Johnson, who even at his best is worse than a left-handed Brock Purdy.
Unnecessary shot at Josh Johnson there. Come on.
I mean, the dude's played for half the league at this point in his career.
And multiple other leagues.
And some other, no shit.
I actually love Josh Johnson. I think that his story is really cool of how many times he's bounced around, but that's a conversation for a different day. I respect the hell out of that front seven. I've loved Hassan Reddick since he was with the Cardinals. And he's made, his first couple of years struggled a little bit, but he's really stepped up over the last 3-4 years, and he's going to be a menace going into this game, whether he lines up on the left side or right side. Those tackles are the weak spots in this Chiefs front line. So we'll see what happens there. I respect the hell out of Darius Slay and James Bradbury. I think that's the best corner duo in the NFL, and big play Slay, is going to do something in the Super Bowl, whether it's an interception over Mahomes or he's going to make a big sack, something off a blitz. He's going to try and do something in this Super Bowl. But at the same time, I think the Chiefs have too many weapons. I don't think that the Eagles have someone that can guard Travis Kelce. But what I do want to see is Jason Kelce come out and play defense for one play and have Mahomes line up at the have Travis line up at the 3 technique for one play and see who wins the matchup.
That'd be a fun one.
Yeah,
a fun one
they have to, right?
Yeah. Overall, I think this is going to be a pretty high-scoring game. I really think the Chiefs will pull it out by less than a touchdown. I think it's going to be a 3-4 point game, and both teams are going to come out heavy. I think they each put up a couple scores in the first quarter, another one in the second, and we're going to go into halftime maybe around 21-17 or somewhere around there. Both defenses will kind of make some changes in the second half, and I think we might see 1 or 2 scores max for each team in the second half, as there's going to be all that excitement in the first half, and then defenses are going to buckle down in the second half, and I think the Chiefs are going to pull it out 31-27.
All right.
Wow. Yeah, Eagles fan Eric had 31-28.
Okay, I knew it was close.
Wow,
it was close. All right.
That lines up with what everyone is saying about this game. That it's going to be very close. Obviously, teams are very evenly matched. I know that. I think the ESPN, their analytics had this literally as like a 50-50 game. Like everyone kind of thinks about this game the exact same way. It's just you might get different winners. Yeah. And actually, you and Eric both had the same winner.
Yeah, well, that's what he does. All right, man, Frenchie, we appreciate you taking the time to pop on with us, and hopefully you'll be the first fan that we're hitting up in the preseason next year to talk about the next season.
That's how it works.
Yeah. Excited for it.
All right, man, we appreciate you. Take it easy.
Thanks, Frenchie.
Have a good day, guys. Bye.
All right, that's a Super Bowl fan preview, Ryan. We did it.
I don't know. I still don't know how I feel.
Well, you got depending upon how people are listening to this, you got a little time to make the decision. But make sure you guys are following us on all the socials and stuff. We appreciate all the fans that have popped on with us all postseason, all preseason. We hit a bunch of fans. Most of them, I know things got a little hairy at the end for the preseason, but we very much appreciate you guys taking their time to pop on and talk a little football with us. Check us out: Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter. We're on all of those things. Best bets coming your way this weekend before the Super Bowl. Hoping everyone enjoys the Super Bowl, has a good time, get some good food in, things like that. Anything else before we get out of this one, Ryan?
I obviously
check out the pod. If you're not listening to the podcast form of this, check out the podcast form to get our official predictions.
Obviously, the Super Bowl or Super Bowl game, Super Bowl week, the 2 weeks, whatever. That's all bittersweet, right? Because it means the end of football, but it also means flourishing in spring and into draft season, free agency, draft season.
Ryan's ready to go with draft season.
I'm fully against the long, dragged out process of covering the Super Bowl, but
for sure,
this one's going to be really, really good.
I think it should be fun. All right, until hopefully you listen to the podcast or the off-season stuff or whatever. Give us a like, a follow everywhere I said, where you can find out when the new episodes are dropping. This has been Just Another Football Show.
See ya.
Act one, scene one. Oh.